Good morning, everyone, and welcome again to Signals and Symptoms podcast. I'm here with my two besties, Harvey Castro and Edward Marks, which are definitely not just my besties, but the co host. Today, we're going to feature our own Harvey Castro again, because clearly, future of healthcare is from Earth to orbit. But he just actually is working on an amazing book, is AI in emergency medicine, and then we're going to go ahead and talk about all of this. This is just a summary of 11 chapters, but let's talk about this book and then go from there. One of the good readings, and again, I don't know if you guys are subscribed to Medium, but the dark side of uh, AI of data is actually very important. And as we go along into this process of flywheel, data is going to become a significant problem. This was very good. Open evidence goes Hippocratic AI. Again, they said that, why use open evidence when you can use Chat GPT? And there's a whole research paper that came out. All of this interesting read. Then, of course, I'm sorry I didn't pull up the open evidence reply to it, but it's a very good read of how things are progressing. And then that's another, because what is it? Is it the large language models outperform specialized clinical AI tools? And then are the benchmarks okay? So those are the kind of things that I've been thinking about. And then going from there, I'm going to share some of my findings directly. But another thing that we're trying to do over here is to ensure this. Before I move into something else, I just want to make sure that you understand a massive big update from Save Life AI. We just got FDA approval for our third one, which is chest X-ray. So this is officially now FDA approved. We can do actually chest X-ray analysis through AI. So we now officially three FDAs. The fourth one is coming, I think, in a day or two, and then we have five planned for this one. Interestingly, the things that we want to build is not really have an FDA pathway. We have talked about regulation and everything. So we are now working as Save Life AI as our first FDA breakthrough device. The application is going to be filed by the end of August. I don't know what's going to happen because it's just how it is. Unfortunately, we really need to move the needle, and I cannot just confine myself with a 510K pathway because it's just too limiting. I mean, unfortunately, and we're going to talk to Harvey about this. But here's the biggest update, and Harvey, as an investor, you need to know. We have, of course, the clinical platform, the radiological platform, the data integration platform with EHRs and everything, and then our AI suites. And then, as you know, we believe in what we call clinical radiological intelligence. But while I'm talking to the clients, interestingly, they're very interested in our solutions. They're buying like crazy. But one of the things that everyone is talking about is essentially the complete end-to-end workflow, which we can do agentic. And that's why I'm going to show you some of my updates at the end after we talk about Harvey's book. So we basically moved into what we call AI RCM, basically documentation to dollars, since we are already doing documentation, implementation, and everything. So this is going to be a complete, end-to-end AI RCM solution where you can have denial management, you can have charge management, claims management, also as a voice agent, also as a browser agent, everything end-to-end. Prior authorization, front desk, coding engine, that is ICD-10 coding, not the coding, we think about how to create super bill directly from ISAMD, all of this. This is going to be the last leg that is going to just not just the clinical radiological. And I think I need your help with actually helping. Oh, am I not sharing this? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, so I'm sorry, the AI RCM. And this is actually going to go ahead and completely. So just to remind you again, AI Suite now has, uh, officially chest X-ray fully FDA cleared. That's third FDA, fourth is coming, etc. And then if you go into AI RCM solutions, we are basically building complete end-to-end workflow from prior authorization, front desk voice, point of service. This is something that this is the last leg before I release it. Coding agents, coding space, super bill, charge audit, everything, claims engine, patient billing, and then of course it connects directly to our operational intelligence, completely fed again from a real freaking company that really uses AI. You know what? I have like freaking seen three demos so that I want to buy a software like for my own company from like quality management systems and all of that. They say AI. I mean, this is like, but they have no AI. So this is coming from a company that is FDA approved. They come over once a year. Then I bend over, take off my shorts, and they do a colonoscopy on me. So just to remind you that that this is it. So we have complete. This is the last leg. We of course initially had clinical and radiological intelligence. And I don't know. I need a better line from you, Harvey, because you are amazing at coming up with this. That how do I put clinical radiological intelligence rather than and then add RCM solutions as well into it. Some major massive updates from my side as far as that is concerned. Now, Harvey, going back to you, uh, why do you keep writing books, man? Nobody reads them. I'm just messing with you. So what
It
so
goes
that's why
back
we
to
did
Ed too,
podcast.
right? Ed and I don't
Huh?
read book writers. No, you're right.
Yeah.
On the joke side, yeah, but you are right. Actually, less and less people are reading books per se, as opposed to 5, 10, 20 years ago. We're accumulating knowledge a lot quicker. With that said, there are still some people, including myself, that
I do, and I'm actually learning a
like
lot from
Ed.
you. So, jokes
Yeah.
aside, the one of the things that I wanted to say is, so what's the difference between a book, a website, or a wiki article? Is that a book is an actual absolute snapshot, and that snapshot in time is also very important to encapsulate because he's going to update this book in a year, then 2 years from now, etc. And that snapshot actually preserves the historical evidence. And I'm going to be very excited to see at some point in time that how fast he has to update the book with with this AI now. So it is this snapshot of intelligence, comprehensive, combined, is extremely important as we move forward. Not today, but also in future as well. Sorry, Harvey, go ahead.
Well, no, you're right. To that point, I feel like I can move a lot quicker than the book publisher. So I started this year a series called Pivot or Perish. And on my website, I have an AI agent that takes that book and updates it every month. So you buy the book, and then after that, you go on the website and it just updates you every single month. So it's a way of keeping up the latest data, the latest information,
Hmm.
without having to go out and buy a book or wait for the second edition. Eventually, I see the book publishers doing the same.
Hmm. I agree with you. So tell me about this. Why, as you said, I'm going to play Harvey now. Harvey, like always, the main question is why. So why write the book in the first place, and then what is this book about?
It was a blessing. When I wrote ChatGPT in Healthcare in the year 22, book publishers started reaching out for the second edition. And during that period, or throughout the years, Wiley reached out. And I was really honored when they said, "Hey, Harvey, we want to write a book in emergency medicine, AI. We want your personal stories, how you went through it, and how you see it today." And I'm really excited. I've you know how busy I've been. I feel bad because I keep delaying, and they're like, "Okay, Harvey, the book's gonna be out in October." And then we've been proofreading it, so I gave them the final proofread actually today. So
Hmm.
hopefully here they said it'll be on the market. And so why I did it, two things. It's human plus AI is what I always say. Human, 20 years of emergency medicine experience. AI, in that I've been leveraging, using, seeing where the future heads. And then I divided the book in that format. Uh, Too much to cover in one sitting. So why not put it in a book? So someone that can go through A to Z and understand how it could be applied. The principles are general, so they apply emergency medicine. Obviously, they apply other parts of medicine. So I'm really stoked about it.
Love it. I'm looking forward to getting it and then reading it. Is it out already on the Amazon and everything, or not yet?
It's all on pre-orders. It's on Amazon, and I didn't realize it's at Target too. So, so they're all having
Oh,
pre-sales right now. So I was kind of stoked about
awesome.
it.
We'll put the links. Hera, can you find it and put
Yeah,
it in the comments, the pre-order links, and we'd love to do so. So now we talked about the why, which is clearly there's a need, and then of course we're looking at AI in this. Actually, before I go, Ed, do you have your first question for Harvey about the book?
Well, I was going to say we should do a book signing like we did at my house when we did the Mayo Clinic book,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
we should bring Harvey's books and my books together and we'll do something fun in the Dallas Fort Worth region, and maybe we'll take it on the road also.
I like
Might
it.
be kind of fun.
Love
Um,
it.
and
Love
you
it.
know, the thing I'll say about books, I agree. You know, I'm pretty new school, but the only place that I think I'm still old school is books. And I'll tell you a couple of reasons why. There, when you hand someone a book, you can't hand someone a website. You can say Harvey's the greatest dude in the world. He's got the greatest content. You can't hand them anything about Harvey except pointing to the website. And the likelihood, just like when you prescribe someone a test, only 30% of tests actually get fulfilled. I forget what it is with prescriptions. It's probably 50%. When you hand someone a book, it's fulfilled. Now, will they read it? But they haven't, right? So I think that's one thing. And another thing is, you're on the plane, and yeah, there's Wi-Fi, which only works half the time if you fly American Air, like I do, and you can get to the website or whatever, or read the latest blog. But having that book, you don't have to worry about stowing it away when you take off or whatever. You know what I'm saying? There's still something magical about a book, and then and then you can point someone to it. And then here's my final thing on books. And I thought about this a lot. Is it's like albums, right? I have a kid in the recording industry. Why do they put out an album? They still do. There's still music out there, and then and every year, or depending how active the artist is, a year and a half, they come out with something new. They come out with new music, and they put out a new album, a record. So I'm still old school that way. I still think there's something about it. And the final thing, like I'm about to give a talk, and it's around one of the books, and you give people a copy of the book. It's a keepsake. They'll remember. Oh, I heard Harvey speak, and I got his book, and he signed it. It means something. And you can't do that with a website. You could put your, and we all do it, right? Every speaker does. You put your little URL up there to your website or to your LinkedIn profile. How many people are actually going to hit that link or take that picture and actually go and do something? But you give them a book. It's different. There's a connection when you do that. It's a gift, if you will. So, anyways, rock on, Harvey. Keep writing those books. I'm with you,
Love it.
100%. So yeah, it's AI in emergency medicine, and you already mentioned that you don't have to be an emergency doc to get benefit. But who else is the target, like for the reader? Like obviously, everyone in emergency medicine, urgent care, those sorts of things would be like, hey, you should get this book. But who else is it written for?
Honestly, the main goal voice is the patients. You know very well, patients are going to the emergency room. A good percentage of them, their primary care is the emergency room. As you know, so that's who I wrote the book for. It's really for patients. And so, me being a doctor and getting a lot of administrators and physicians calling me, I said, "You want? Let me add some physician stuff to it." But the main audience is patients, and it's written for patients.
Oh, that's interesting. So
Yeah,
go ahead.
yeah. Tell us more then. Okay, so I'm average Joe Jane citizen here in Portland, Oregon, and so I would get this book because it would help me
Yeah.
navigate emergency medicine or help me in my own healthcare. What exactly what?
Yeah, so I broke it down into the just assuming you and I and all of us are different level, but assume someone goes into healthcare, has no idea about AI. So I go through the foundation, like, hey, what's going on with your doctor? Hey, they're burning out. You know what? We have some clinical AI. Hey, what's the future look like? Hey, we have wellness, we have wearables, we're using AI to predict predictive proactive care. And then obviously when you go into the doctor, like who's doing all this? Is it the hospital? Is it the doctor? What's the rate limiting step? What is the leadership? So I kind of go into that, why, what things can be released and why. But then I go into the critical part, the guardrails. Everybody's like, why should I do this? What governance is going on? And is there a consent? And there are algorithms for that. So then I go into that. So it's broken up into those units so that a person can go through and be like, okay, I really understand this healthcare space now with AI.
I love that. That's great.
So cool. I mean, I love that you're actually thinking of. So first of all, comments again. I love that these two guys, because I'm becoming an AI. idiot because the time, like I have like 16 AI employees working, and then it's just getting. I need to redo my human stuff, and I love it that these two bring it back to the patient and the human. Again, revising it, that tactile feeling, the book feeling is still one of those many pleasures of life that I still sometimes pick a book. And I never got an e-ink reader or iPad reading. It's just that tactile feeling to just curl up in a blanket and then just read. And especially how Harvey writes, by the way, he is a great story teller. If you look at his previous book, it's not technical read. I don't know, is this a technical read or is it a
It's
no,
simple.
perfect. So it's simple, so especially when it's patient based. I would love to, just sit in a sitting and then just read it. There's something to, move the page that brings you, that dopamine hit too, by the way, at least me personally. So thank you, Edward, to realizing that again, the humanity of things in the age of AI. And of course, writing it for the patients. Now, Harvey, have you included any patient stories? And do you want
Yes.
to share some of them on this, that how AI will go through that and then extended one more to Phantom Space as well?
Yeah, I'll keep it generic because I'm not sure what I can share or not, just because of the copyright portion of it. But this skinny, the big picture I always talk about, and I share similar stories, is that whole proactive versus reactive approach. At the end of the day, guys, does everyone out there go to their doctor? And just going by statistics, women are most likely to go to their doctor. Us men tend not to go to our doctor as often. Even me as a doctor, I have a doctor's appointment next month, and I don't know when it is. I just know it is sometime. But my point is this: why are we waiting to go to the doctor? Why not leverage AI? And I go into the stories. Why not leverage the aura, the wellness, the information so that we can gather that information? And I'm really excited that I'm seeing Perplexity, OpenAI, all of them create a platform to connect your personal healthcare data. Regardless of how you feel about it, think of the core of that. You're analyzing your data with AI and saying, hey, here's some of the things. Let me explain your blood work. Let me explain some of the things the doctors are going to say. Why does that matter? Twofold. One, because you can take charge of your health. Two, we don't know what we don't know. But if the AI is introducing to us certain information from our labs, and then when we go to the doctor and be like, hey, what is this hemoglobin A1C? The AI says is this. Explain it to me, or can we talk about it? And it takes it to that next level. I want everybody out there to realize in the United States, you're lucky to get 13 minutes is the national average with your doctor. 13 minutes of medical expertise. We need more, and I'm glad to see these tools giving us more information.
So cool. So cool. Add your thoughts on that, because again, as a physician, I'm going to come back as a physician mind headset, but as a general consumer of healthcare, and not only general consumer of healthcare, as a board member of hospital systems, what do you think about this?
Well, I am a huge proponent. I believe in arming patients with as much knowledge as we can. And to Harvey's point, uh, visits are down 16% was what I saw from Gallup in West recently. Office visits are pretty, yeah, they're down 16%, and a lot of people are going to AI, and maybe they're not doing it in a very wise way, right? Could just be willy-nilly. And a book like this, I think, is going to help give them a little bit more structure and knowledge, like how to navigate safely, and make sure that they don't go a wrong direction. So I think it's a great thing. I can't wait to read it. I'm surprised, Junaid, we haven't gotten like pre-read copies or anything.
We actually, I'm not so sure. I don't know. Did we do this for Harvey? Did I review it?
No,
No.
no, I
He's
should.
just he's just he's just freaking too busy. You know what, Ed? We have to like penalize him. So here's your penalty, Harvey. You're taking us both on a steak dinner tonight. Well, actually, not tonight. How are you, Ed? Where are you, by the way? I see in the background you're walking around in a. Where are you?
Yeah, it's Portland.
Or
Oh, it's
Yeah, so
early.
it's really, yeah. I had to run first at 5, so I could start with you all at 6. So I'm just doing my cool down with you all. So pardon the informality, but I had to go
So
down there.
Harvey is in his house, so I know he's in Dallas. So when you're coming back, let's give penalty to Harvey, and then go from there. Um, in the meanwhile, I just want to make sure that I just want to cover a very small topic of people are bringing it up to me and everything, and there are two of them, and I need actually Harvey's opinion. So Harvey, remember we talked about how we're gonna scale AI, and this is tail scale. I don't know. Are you able to see my screen?
Yeah, I see it. I use
So
it
this is
now, scale scale.
you do right. This is now connected to my 3 Max at the moment in time, and this is the latest one that I got for the company, by the way, which has 128 gigabytes of unified memory. And what I was able to do was load so many models and test it. Now, I'm just not going to give you the results, of course. I'm going to give you the amount of research that goes into it. This is my research platform, by the way, Corpus, and then you go into, AI and infrastructure. We look at, infrastructure providers. If I'm going to go with Cerebrus, all of this, price comparison, speed comparison, accuracy comparison. It's just an insane amount of work just to understand that. And then, of course, we have model cards. What are the agentic that we can use? What is the Gemma? And by the way, since I'm going to forget, I'm going to talk about this QAT quantization. And then, of course, the issue of Quinn, which has all the way from 2B, 4B, 9B, 27B, and now 36B. So I actually tested this out on a local model, and it is giving me 100 tokens per second speed. Just to let you know, by comparison, 100 tokens per second is considered production grade. So, and then there is an equivalent, by the way, Gemma model, which came out, which we are potentially going to move forward with, but after testing. But here's my problem, Harvey. Except for Google that released Gemma, it is an onslaught. Like, it's insane that how. Sorry, just to be fair to US, Inkling is another one. We could talk about this, but anyway, it is an onslaught of models that are coming from Chinese companies, which includes this small models that I use as router models and tool calling models. Then we have this middle-sized models, which we have Quinn 3.6, 27B, etc., which honestly, at this level in time, is way better than Gemini Flash 2.5, which was considered a workhorse. And then lastly, frontier level models, especially Kimi K3, which like blew the waters off for people. So first step back, which is very interesting now, what the hell are you going to do with space? Because if you every single GPU squeeze, you can do so much more in space with these small, medium, frontier level models. That's going to be the last one. So first of all, what are your thoughts in general, how the industry is moving and how US companies are going to move in terms of model development and all of that and GPU consumption? Then the second one would be that should we even use Chinese models? Because that's a big debate. Should we actually ban them? Is there a significant security risk? I think I need your opinion on that. And then lastly, come back to how do you project it forward in the next 3 to 5 years? I'm sorry, I'm going to take a call, but go ahead. I'm listening.
Yeah. All right, buddy. So, and Eddie, this is a good question. So the way I personally see it, the pendulum is moving all over the place, and I see the following. Think of it from small, middle, large. On the small scale, we have our phones, we're using them daily, and we are able to start putting models here. Why does that matter? It's because if the model's on the phone, now instead of me asking a question, waiting for the server to hit, going to AI, ChatGPT servers as an example, process, and then coming back, even though to us that may not mean much time, but to Ed's point, if he's on the plane, there's bad Wi-Fi, there's nothing that's reliable. Now it's processing on your phone. So with that principle, I feel like several things are happening. One, if you can use your energy and you're not using the data center in the sense that you're decreasing that bandwidth, because think of it this way, why use a limousine to go across the street? You wouldn't. You would just walk. Same idea. If you needed something to go on your phone and you need a process now, why run through that system? So I'm giving that tail end story because here's the deal. with the structure point from a phone point of view, we'll have the small language model. We'll be able to process. We need a network. What does that network look like? That's where Phantom Space, I feel like, will have a leverage. We'll be able to put that network in outer space so that when Ed's flying around the world, he could just call us from his phone and it'll connect with our satellites. Two, the processing, think of it again. If it's running on here, why not put those models on a small level in the sense that I'm putting it inside the chip, that small language model on the satellites, and now all of the satellites are speaking. Now, Janae will say, well, Harvey, what happens 6 months later when the next model comes out? Well, that's a good point. There'll be a system that will be able to redo some of those chips on the satellite. But the thing that you don't realize is these satellites are going up daily. And so with time, today's systems that are coming up will be updating. And then the ones from a year, 2 years, that yes, they're outdated, but they're talking to these systems. So think of it as a network. Some of those will be running really quick. Some of them will be running slow. But with time, it's always going to get better and better. So that's kind of what I see the future of going. I know that was kind of long, but
I'm going to rephrase this into a more technical term. The one that he uses on the mobile is considered what we use the word edge. That is another term we use is near edge, is basically where my laptop right here sitting is working. So there's edge on literally on your device. Then there's near edge, basically a closed source system in which you can have this. Then there's far edge, which is private clouds. And the reason I'm telling you this is because Save Life AI, when it talks to hospital systems, they don't want to even send any more data to Cloud Code and OpenAI, which is fantastic news for us. Because what's happening is because they are really saying, oh, they're going to train the model on my data, all of that shit. And then lastly, that is what we call, essentially, what he is saying is basically cloud operators. And cloud operators can work in both ways. Cloud operators can work as a private cloud too. I mean, Azure and all of them can basically build a complete section for you, and that's yours, etc. So you're not worried about infrastructure costs and everything. So a few updates. I don't know if you've seen, Apple has released iOS next. It's going to come in September. They are releasing what we call Core ML, and that you already are on the beta server. I don't do that on my production phone. I'm getting another phone just to try their beta service.
I regret it sometimes, and I'm like, I don't care. So it's on here, right?
Yeah. So they actually have a newer technology called Core ML. And then, of course, when I use it on one of my laptops, again, remember, Apple Silicon is different than CUDA on NVIDIA and Arcom on AMD. Again, we test everything. So CUDA has basically the best way is VLLM right now. But Apple Silicon has MLX, and with the addition of Core ML, all my models became 30% faster with the same GPU. So again, it's getting insane. So one was a software upgrade, like we do. And by the way, just to let you know, my Tesla works so much better now. I mean, I click self-supervising; it literally freaking parks itself. So again, that flywheel is getting insane. And I was telling you that, like in me, I mean, I was building a whole freaking module in 2 months, which took me previously 2 years to build. So that flywheel is getting in there. So edge, then there's near edge, and I will just use the private cloud/cloud as the three major things, as one of those things. Now coming back to how hardware devices are improving. I don't know what the next model of M5 Ultra or M6 or M7 is going to come from Mac, which I believe at this point in time, I don't know what your thoughts are, Harvey. Is Apple going to start competing with NVIDIA and AMD for actually GPU inference or not? That's question number one. And then question number two, I want to go back that edges, of course, will still have its limitation at some point, at least for the next 2-3 years. We are already at a 2 nanometer process, and I don't know if we can squeeze the molecules enough, but we have 3D refractory. So they're actually putting the chip on top of the chip, so they're stacking. Anyways, it's getting insane again. By the way, designed fully by AI. That's another problem. AI is designing chips to their. We're gonna have an antichrist soon. I mean, we have talked about this before. So having all this sort of information that I wanted to give to my audience, what are your thoughts of Apple as a GPU provider in the future? Number two is, what is the role of the middle section, this 3.6 27B models, 3.6 this models. And then lastly, comment, why am I not seeing this? Because my problem is that, let's just be honest. I mean, it is getting cheaper. I'm getting a $2,000 Mac, which is giving me 80 tokens per second. I can get 10 of them, which is much better than giving money to Azure. And then I am, the only problem right now is that I'm forced to use Chinese models, which I don't want to use in production because of the security risks. So are there security risks? Or am I just being, let's just do it. And then lastly, why Americans companies are losing, because you didn't talk about Kimi K3 either, which is, by the way, I've been using it and it's goddamn better than Opus 4.8. I haven't tried it with Opus 5. A lot of information for you, Harvey. I need your opinion. And Ed, you need to learn this, man. I know you don't test this on a regular basis, but it is, and that's what I was telling you before the meeting. It is so hard for me to even present all of this. Do you get it? Like, I cannot sit there and make presentations.
No, this
Go
is
ahead.
so good, buddy. Gosh, you got me like feel with it. I'm like, and that's why I'm drinking my coffee, bud. No. All serious is the following. These models are getting better and better, and I see two things to your point. The models are becoming better, so you don't, to my analogy earlier, you don't need the limousine, because now the limousine is the Ford, but the Ford has gotten so much better that it's like riding the limousine, my analogy. And so with these models dropping and these chips getting better and better, to your first part of the question, what's going to happen? I call it the bell curve. We're going to have everyday users, like, let's not say you and I, but the majority of the population that uses an iPhone. But the processing power that's going to have is going to be so superior, and that's going to give the Apple a competitive advantage in that they have the numbers, they have so many people using the devices, and they'll be able to create a network quicker. And another concept is, we don't know what we don't know, but by Apple having this leverage, they're going to start releasing applications that the average person will be like, oh, I didn't know my phone could do that. But to Junaid and I and Ed, we're like, oh no, this is AI and this is how you're doing it. But for everybody else, they'll just get it to that point. And so the reason it matters that their chips happens is because it starts bringing that people to their ecosystem. Now, what's interesting is you have Elon Musk doing chips now. And when that starts hitting, that's going to really be interesting, because what's going to happen to NVIDIA is NVIDIA and Elon Musk start fighting. What will it be? It'll be interesting because he has the power, he has the AI. And when I say power, solar energy and all that, and you put it all together, and soon he'll have the data centers in space. He's going to have a crazy ecosystem to give him a competitive advantage. And so to your point, what's going to happen is these chips will start going down. The amount of data that we need, everybody's saying, oh, these edge technology, all this stuff, we really won't be able to, we don't need data centers as much. My argument is, you guys are not thinking about this truly. If the price goes down, the demand is going to start going up, because more and more people will realize, let's use this more and more. So then that's going to increase the demand. You and I didn't even know about an iPhone when we grew up, most of us. And so now look how much we're using this thing. I'm freaking programming on this when I'm on trips now, on vacation. I'm like on this, like left and right. I couldn't do that even a couple of years ago. So my point is, we don't know what we don't know. The chips are going to get better. We're going to start having applications that we haven't thought of. Some I'm trying to patent for space, just to put it on the side, because I feel like this is coming. Where are we headed with all of this is a bridge where, do we go with American models? Do we go with outside models? And here's the risk from a US point of view. If China gives away all these models, to Janae's point, where DeepSeek is pennies compared to these others, and they're literally just giving it away, what will happen is what? The standard will become DeepSeek, where people are like, dude, I'm just going to DeepSeek. It's cheaper. And then everybody builds their infrastructure around these Chinese models. And then later they're like, you know what? We own 90% of the market right now. So for that point, it makes it a risk for the United States. And if the US says, no, United States is going to cut all these models out, you cannot use them, then that's going to be an issue, because these models are so easy to download and use yourself that it's going to be hard to enforce. Like, are you really using them or not? And then from a competitive point of view, if the United States is like, hey, this is a capitalist market, we allow everybody to compete, then that's going to be hard. How do you now say you're not going to allow others to compete. And so what I foresee happening, is I foresee them getting, this is just me, my biased opinion, pushing hard also for the open models to be just as good as those. The reason I'm biased to say this is the reason I believe some of these Chinese models are so strong is because they have the government behind it and it's helping the companies out. Whereas the US is like, no, OpenAI, Anthropic, you do your thing. And I think that is why we're starting to see this merge where US government owns part of Intel. Like who would have thought of that? And so
10%, not even a small portion, 10%.
I'll take 10% of that.
Yeah.
And so think about what's going to happen if they're doing that. Are we going to start pivoting towards these models where it's US and Anthropic and owned together, US and OpenAI owned together, where now it becomes a competitive thing where the US is like, we don't want to lose money to China. So it'll be quite interesting. Where are we going to be? And this is today. And I think things are moving so fast that I'd love to have the same conversation in 6 months because I think the whole game will be different. Real fascinating.
Yeah, so cool. Ed, your thoughts as a general person when you see the news in two things. Number one, security risk of Chinese models or non-Chinese model. I mean, coming from anywhere. And then the second problem of what he said, the stack building. And just to let you know, it is an insane amount of work for me, just to give you a little bit of context. If I need to fine tune a model, then I have to choose a model. Then I have to create fine tune versions of it. Then I have to check LoRa heads. Then I have to check inference times. Then I have to check if the model is going to be supplied on an NVIDIA hardware, AMD hardware, or Apple Silicon. Is it giving consistent results? That making a fine tune model is joke for me. This whole testing takes 3 months. So when I choose something in terms of a stack, in terms of a GPU, a model, or anything, I'm sticking to it for the next 3 years because it's not a small amount of work to go through. So just to let everyone understand what Harvey's point is, that what every means by stack, it is insane amount of work to, and I'm telling you, I have a company with AI. So Ed, your thoughts on everything we just talked about?
It is freezing. Like I was just in all these other hot states or Texas, and it's like cold, like literally cold in Portland, Oregon, and it's late July.
And anyway, that's nice. I mean,
yeah. So if I shiver, you'll understand why I'm shivering. So, well, this is the tech things, and you kind of alluded to it. I really leave that to you all. You're actually both much more tech savvy when it comes to all this AI type of capability. But on the on the China side, those sort of things, you got to think about like Airbus. We have Boeing and American companies competing with Airbus, which is government funded, EU funded, and it's the same with any country that we compete with. A lot of them are government funded, and but the big difference here, obviously, is the LLM and the security issues and all that kind of stuff. So I do think there needs to be a lot of caution when it comes to that sort of thing. So I don't want to opine on the technical because I think you already covered it pretty well. And again, it's a little bit out of my knowledge frame.
So let me just give you a little bit of background on the model. The model is essentially still a black box. So they have trading and they have this. Now, it is a big issue, right? I mean, everything is built on top of everything, right? I mean, I'm not writing a calculator app. There are tons of it on the available open source. I'm going to use that. I mean, it's just not use feasible. So there's a whole thing. This is called SBOM. It is actually software bill of material that I have to submit to FDA. What that means is that I need to tell them that exactly any open source libraries I've used and have actually created a whole process in which I have literally at the library level any security risks. By the way, this is how invasive FDA is. When I was saying bend over, they were really bending me over. So when I say that's why I'm telling you. Now the problem with the model is, at least in this one, I know this is the Python code, this is JSON code, we have AI reviewers, we have human reviewers, we have security checks, tons of shit. How do I deal with the black box? Do you guys understand? How do I go ahead and convince anyone that, okay, I've checked the internals of it, literally software bill of materials. So think of it, you build a house, which electrical wire you use, which kitchen counter you use, which door you use. That is the level that we need. And then the models do not give you, because they cannot give you, and who knows what they have injected. And believe it or not, in prompt injection, security risk is much harder to identify, first of all, and then also even harder to fix, because they can have layers of prompt injections that can go through. Anyway, so my thought is that at least I don't think so this is ready for production, in my opinion. We are always interested. We are thankful to Inkling, which is by Maria Murati, which actually released a very amazing model, and has a completely new business process. And I think that is where the winning process will be. She basically provides the infrastructure, the model, and the pre-training and fine-tuning services. And then basically, hey, bring your business, bring your data. Here's your model, fine-tuned, and I'll take care of the rest. And I think that's in my thinking, Harvey, is where the industry is leading to. We're going to cut it today short. Any other comments, Ed and Harvey, that you want to add? Then we can join next week.
Yeah. Let me change the topic completely, because I'm about to do this talk for
Sure.
the country is divided in 4 or 5 regions by the federal government in terms of community health centers. These would be FQHCs, migrant care facilities, those sorts of things. And so I'm speaking today to the Northwest. That's why this is Alaska, Oregon, Washington, Idaho. And so I did a lot of pre-work to prepare. And I was shocked by one thing, and then one thing lends really well into the book that Harvey is about to release. So the first thing is, when I interviewed 4 CEOs of these various clinics, one of them is more advanced than any academic medical center I've ever been to. I was shocked, and I was like, wow, what a lucky community. She is like totally on it, totally with it, deploying all sorts of AI capabilities that, again, I've not seen anywhere else.
Let's bring her on to this podcast too.
We should. I will see here in a second. And then but the majority of them, if there's a scale from 1 to 5, and she's the 5, and let's just say our academic medical centers are 4s, the majority are going to be around 1, 1.5. But they're looking to close that gap very, very quickly. They're going to have plans by the end of this event to close that gap in 12, 24, 36 months. So, but think about it, because again, a lot of our audience and ourselves, we come from big cities, but a lot of care is done on the frontier. And even Texas, 85% frontier, 85% of Texas is rural. So think about the United States. I mean, it is still a very rural country, and a lot of healthcare is done out there where there's no academic medical center like there is in Dallas or Fort Worth. So I find it super, super interesting, and their desire for AI and just how AI can help bridge that gap, right? On, hey, we don't need to go, we can do ultrasound. Anyone can do the ultrasound. We can have someone else read it somewhere else, right? And help guide them, guided ultrasound. That saves so much money, saves patient experience. Anyways, there's so much to unpack, and I'm super excited for these people who are really doing healthcare. One last really quick example, because it just blew my mind. There's some, right, and I know it's going to sound silly saying it because it's kind of obvious, but until you really meet someone from an area like this, there's many communities in our country, United States, there's no road to that community. Literally no road to that community. They fly. Like, if they need something, they have to fly. They have to get into uncle's plane and fly. So this is so important, what we're talking about. The need for AI and these AI capable technologies to bring the same level of care to them as we enjoy being in a big metroplex. And I think we owe it to them to do it. That's why I'm so glad to be part of Signals and Symptoms and be with you all, because we'll help those people.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's my rant
change the
for
world.
morning. Yeah.
And of course, everything is going to go through Harvey's intellectual property protected billion-dollar applications that are going to be hosted on Phantom Space and more. So, Harvey, last words, and then we'll close for today.
All right, guys, last words. let's have fun with this stuff. I'm going to 3 calls of actions. Physicians, healthcare professionals, I want you to learn AI and figure out how can you use it today to help your patients. And just even if it's just something minor. Second, developers, I want you to, like someone like Junaid, how can we pass these things through the FDA and really perplex? How can we use these other models, maybe the Chinese models, but how can we use some of them? Let's think long-term American models so that if there is a stop, we can still continue working and not worry. And then the last, for the consumers out there, how can I use this today? We know that we have some wearables. We know we have some stuff. It's the bell curve of people listening. I know there's somebody out there that's listening that can program some of this stuff themselves. Just on the side, I'm having fun with this camera. It's literally giving me a check every day. When I speak, it tells me if I'm stressed, how much power is in my voice, if I'm ready to present, and it's giving me grades. And sometimes I talk to it really soft and like I'm relaxed and I know I'm stressed, and it'll call me out and say, here's your stress number. I'm like, damn, I'm like faking it, what I'm saying and everything. And it's the algorithm's catching it. And so my point is this: let's leverage these tools to help humanity. Let's leverage these tools to help us in healthcare. And I just want to leave us with that.
Love it. Leverage AI to help humanity. And then also, hopefully, in the same breath, do not over expect that it's going to take over. People have been talking about, doom scenarios for all the other technologies in the past. It is okay. Have fun with it. Take care. Hey, buddy.